The words coming out of your mouth are rewiring your brain against you. There's this guy stuck in traffic, already late for a meeting. He calls his friend to vent, complains about the traffic, about his boss who scheduled the meeting too early, about the construction that's been going on for months, about how this city's infrastructure is a joke. His friend mostly just listens, makes sympathetic sounds. The call ends. He sits in silence now, but somehow he feels worse than before he called. More frustrated, more powerless, like the traffic got heavier just from talking about it. And he doesn't understand why venting didn't help. Everyone says you're supposed to let it out, right? Express your feelings. So why does he feel more stuck than before he opened his mouth? That respect from complaining, it's a trap. And most people spend their whole lives caught in it without realizing what it's doing to them. Here's what actually happens when you complain. Your brain is listening, not in some mystical way, but literally. Every word you speak, your brain processes, and it doesn't distinguish between observation and identity. When you say, "This is terrible," your brain files that away. When you say, "My job is awful," it records that. When you say, "I can't do this," it believes you. And the more you repeat, the more they become the lens through which your brain interprets reality. It's like you're training an algorithm. Feed it complaints, and it starts looking for things to complain about. It gets better at spotting problems. It becomes hypersensitive to anything that confirms your negative statements. Meanwhile, the good stuff, the neutral stuff, the things that are actually fine, your brain starts filtering those out because they don't match the pattern you keep reinforcing. This isn't about positive thinking or pretending everything is great. It's about understanding that your words shape your perception, and your perception becomes your reality. When you constantly verbalize what's wrong, you're literally strengthening the neural pathways that make you notice what's wrong. You're building a brain that's optimized for suffering. Think of your attention like a spotlight. It can only shine on so much at once, and wherever you point it, that's what illuminated, that's what seems most real. Complaining is you choosing to point that spotlight at everything that's broken, everything that hurts, everything that's unfair. And then you wonder why your life feels so dark, but you're the one holding the light. The thing is, complaining feels productive. It feels like you're doing something. You're acknowledging it, you're validating your own frustration, you're getting sympathy from others. There's this tiny hit of relief, like you're releasing pressure, but it's fake relief. It's not actually solving anything. It's just rehearsing the problem, making it more familiar, more central to your identity. And other people reinforce this. When you complain, people often agree with you. Yeah, traffic is the worst. Your boss sounds terrible. You deserve better. And that agreement feels like connection, like you're bonding over shared suffering. But what you're really doing is building a relationship around negativity. You're teaching people that the way to connect with you is through complaint. And they learn that, and they start complaining to you, and you to them. And now you're in this loop where every conversation is just trading misery back and forth, calling it friendship. But genuine connection doesn't come from shared complaints. It comes from shared vulnerability, shared joy, shared purpose. Complaining is actually a way of avoiding real connection because it lets you talk about your feelings without actually feeling them fully or doing anything about them. It's emotional junk food. Tastes like you're addressing the hunger, but it's not nourishing anything. Here's what most people miss. Complaining is a choice. It doesn't feel like one because it's so automatic. Something bad happens, and words just come out. But there's a split second between the event and your verbalization of it where you could go a different direction. You could acknowledge the feeling internally without broadcasting it. You could look for the part of the situation you can control instead of fixating on what you can't. You could just not say anything. And that gap, that moment of restraint, is where strength builds. Not the fake strength of pretending everything's fine. The kind that comes from being able to sit with discomfort without immediately trying to discharge it through complaint. Because here's the truth. Most of what you complain about is stuff you're not going to change. Other people's behavior, past events, systemic problems way beyond your control. Complaining about these things is just volunteering to suffer twice. Once because the thing happened, and again because you're keeping it alive by talking about it. And even when it's something you'd theoretically change, complaining is usually the least effective strategy. If your job is actually awful, complaining to your friends about it doesn't make it better. It just makes you identify more strongly as someone who has an awful job. What actually helps is either changing the job or changing your relationship to the job. Both of those require action, not verbalization. Action is harder than complaint. Action requires you to take responsibility. Complaint lets you stay in mode, which is strangely comfortable even though it's painful. Because if you're the victim, nothing is your fault. You don't have to change. You can just keep suffering and telling people about your suffering and getting sympathy for your suffering. It's a whole identity you can build. And some people live there for decades. The alternative is accepting that you have more control than you've been admitting. Not total control, not control over everything, but some. Enough to make a difference. And that's scary because it means you can no longer blame everything else. It means if your life isn't working, you have to look at what you're doing or not doing. And that's uncomfortable. So the brain prefers complaint. Complaint is safe. Complaint is passive. Complaint lets you feel like you're engaging with your problems without actually engaging with them. There's also this weird thing where complaining can become part of your personality. Some people are known as complainers. It's their thing. They always have something negative to say. And on some level, they think this makes them realistic or perceptive. Like they're the one person willing to see through the BS and call out what's wrong. But really, they've just trained themselves to notice only problems. They've built an entire cognitive framework around what's broken. And now that's all they can see. And the people around them start to avoid them. Not consciously. There's this subtle withdrawal that happens when someone is constantly negative. Because it's exhausting. You can't fix their problems for them. You can't say the right thing to make them feel better. They're going to complain no matter what. So why engage deeply? Why be vulnerable with someone who's just going to use every conversation as an opportunity to vent? So the complainer ends up more isolated, which gives them more to complain about. The spiral continues. Breaking this pattern requires you to catch yourself, to notice when you're about to complain and pause. Ask yourself, is saying this going to solve anything? Is it going to make me feel genuinely better, or just give me that quick hit of validation that fades immediately? Is this moving me toward what I want, or just keeping me stuck in what I don't want? And most of the time, if you're honest, the answer is no. Saying it won't help. It'll just reinforce the negative loop. So you choose differently. You acknowledge the feeling internally. You feel the frustration or disappointment or anger. You let it be there without amplifying it through words. And then you shift your attention to what you can actually do about situation, even if that's just accepting it and moving on. This isn't about suppressing emotions. Suppression is unhealthy. But there's a difference between feeling something and complaining about it. Feeling is internal processing. Complaining is external broadcasting. You can feel everything without saying everything. And when you stop complaining, something interesting happens. You start noticing how much mental energy you were spending on it. All those conversations you were having in your head about what's wrong, all the time you were spending formulating how to express your frustration, that energy becomes available for other things, for problem solving, for creativity, for actually enjoying the parts of your life that are working. You also start seeing solutions you couldn't see before. Because when in complaint mode, your brain is focused on the problem. It's marinating in it. But when you shift out of complaint, when you stop reinforcing the negative narrative, your brain can start looking for exits. It can get creative. It can spot opportunities it was filtering out because they didn't fit the story you were telling yourself. Other people respond differently to you too. When you stop being someone who complains constantly, you become someone people want to be around more. They trust you more because you're not just going to unload on them. They respect you more because you seem one who handles things instead of just talking about them. And they start bringing you different opportunities because they see you as someone who's moving forward, not stuck. None of this means you have to be positive all the time. You don't. You can still acknowledge when things are hard. You can still ask help. You can still have conversations about real struggles. But there's a way to do that without complaint. You can say, I'm dealing with something difficult, without making it your whole personality. You can ask support without needing to convince how bad you have it. The difference is in the energy. Complaint has this draining, repetitive victim energy. It's about proving how bad things are. But honest acknowledgement has difficulty. It's about naming reality so you can figure out what to do with it. One keeps you stuck. The other opens up possibility. And here's the deepest part of this. When you stop complaining, you stop giving your power away. Every complaint is essentially a statement that something outside you is controlling your internal state. The traffic is making you upset. Your boss is ruining your day. The weather is affecting your mood. You're handing over your peace to external stances and then complaining that you don't have any peace. But when you stop doing that, when you stop verbalizing every grievance, you start reclower. You start realizing that you can be okay, even when circumstances aren't ideal, that your well-being doesn't have to be contingent on everything going right, that you have more resilience than you thought. And that's what a strong mindset actually is. Not pretending everything is great, not being unrealistically positive, just refusing to give the difficult parts of life more power than they inherently have. Just choosing not to amplify suffering through constant verbalization. Just building a brain that looks for what's workable instead of what's wrong. Maybe the strongest thing you can do isn't to handle every problem perfectly. Maybe it's just to stop telling everyone about every problem. To hold your own experience with a little more dignity. To know that you can survive difficulty without needing to broadcast it.